welcome to the Swap stream, and hope you're having a good weekend so far. The title for the stream, we got Hackathons, right? And it's no exaggeration. I think we're probably going to be touching on at least 3 Hackathon projects today, as well as some Swap Key stuff. So for those who joined previously this week, we were working on our Monday Apps Challenge, which is due tomorrow, but we've already submitted. I spent some time yesterday adding some sort of final touches, doing the write-up, the recorded video, and stuff like that. Hey, oh, Cheese Baron, what's going on, man? Hey, I haven't seen you in so long, dude. Maybe we'll have a summit at some point where we can actually both go to. Yeah, thanks for the follow. So I spent some time getting it set up and actually submitted. So for those of you who don't know, this hackathon is for Monday.com to use their new apps framework and sort of, it's all preparation for the marketplace that they're opening soon. I've been using Monday.com for a while with Voicify. We use it for all our road mapping tools and task management and stuff like that. But the hackathon's awesome. It's, I mean, the grand prize is a Tesla Model X, which is a pretty fat grand prize, and I'd like to think we've got a shot at it with what we built. So the whole thing is just anything that really uses their apps framework, where you build an app and it interacts with people's Mondays stuff. So for example, I can go to this test account, this test team we had set up, and we have, let's see, let me go to like my boards. Say hello to Swab. This is me. I am the only mender. Okay. So we can go to like a sample board, right? We can create tasks. We can completely customize columns. There's like pre-built templates for stuff too. And now we can actually interact with that using our voice, because we built a voice app for it essentially. So we have it on Alexa and Google Assistant. Since last week on Wednesday when we started working on it, I actually got it submitted to both Google and Alexa, and it's actually live on Google Assistant. Let's see, hold on, let me figure out how to get there. If we look for Monday Manager, there we go, right? It's right here. Look at that, 5 stars, 2 reviews, 3 reviews. So you can do things like ask for details about your board. You can quickly create new items, which is the feature I actually use the most. But all you got to do is link your Monday account, and you can actually start using it in a different way. And it's been super useful for me, being, like not sitting here staring at Monday or having to go here to like set up new items and stuff. Just being able to sort of talk to Google or Alexa. But it's also super useful for people that have either vision impairment or physical impairments that make it a little harder to use Monday.com. It's not the most accessible site. So it's another way to interact with that using just your voice and your ears, which is pretty cool. So it's in review on Alexa, right? So here's our Alexa console with all our apps. So we've got the Monday Manager app. It's in review. We'll see how it goes. It got rejected once, and we did some stuff to fix it. Basically, there was like one spot where we were leaving the mic open during account linking or something. But what I want to do is give you an overview of what the Monday Manager app looks like, the code behind it, the app structure, stuff like that. We'll end up having this recorded. I'll put it on YouTube and reference it from the hackathon as well. That way anyone who goes and looks at the project will get like a full sort of deep dive and look at what we built together on stream. So yeah, basically we're competing for a Tesla, which would be dope. There's other awesome like prizes and stuff available as well, but let me go to the actual like project listing that we created. I set this up yesterday. Shout out Kenzie for helping me record this stuff. So what I did is I took, basically if you haven't done a hackathon before, that you basically have to do a write-up and a video. That's in person or online. It's usually the gist of it. And so I did that. There's a write-up in here around the inspiration, what it does. We'll get through all that. But I wanted to start by playing you the video that we all made together, so that you can sort of get a sense of the actual use cases and everything else. Yeah, directing. Sorry, Kenzie. Here, I'll full screen this. Alex Dunn. I'm a software architect with a big passion for rescue dogs, music. What a guy. More importantly, building software that's actually accessible to everyone and everywhere that they might be. Can you hear that all right? I've been a Monday user, a Monday.com user for a few years now, actually. I use it for my team with all of our roadmap planning and productivity tooling. And I really wanted to take this opportunity to finally bridge the gap between what I do in conversational AI and my Monday.com productivity tools, and make that available for everyone. Make it accessible to those who might not have as easy of a time using Monday.com or the mobile app. So with that, I built what I call the Monday Manager. And essentially, it's a virtual assistant that helps you actually manage all of your tasks, your boards, and everything like that using just your voice. And right now, it's available on Google Assistant and Alexa to any Monday.com user. You link your account from your Google account and Monday account, or your Amazon Alexa account in your Monday account, and you can actually start doing things like asking about your board information, creating new items, getting details, making adjustments and stuff like that in a very conversational way. You don't just have to take my word for it. Take the word of my alter egos in all of these sort of different use cases.
Hey Google, can you tell Monday Manager to push my stuff back by a day?
Probably my favorite one.
Okay, I'll update 8 of your current items dates by 1 day. What else can I help with?
Alexa, ask Monday Manager to tell me what's on my list for today.
You have a few items that are coming up on their due date, including finish the Monday Alexa skill, deploy new version to prod, and code review for V2. What else do you want to do?
Hey Google, tell Monday Manager to add an item to experiments called Build Bixby Capsule.
Okay, let's get the test version of Monday Manager added to experiments. What else do you want to do?
Build a Bixby Capsule.
Bill, that's a great idea. Let me get that on our backlog real quick. Alexa, tell Monday Manager to add a new item to backlog called Bill's Great Idea.
Add it to backlog. What else do you want to do?
All right, everyone, you take care. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
I gotta hide this real quick.
Alexa, can you delete that last item?
Just to confirm, you want me to delete the last item you added?
Yes.
All right, I'll delete it.
Now, those scenarios are great, and honestly, they've been super useful for me, but that's not a situation that everyone's going to find themselves in. And I think more importantly, though, it becomes a tool for people who are visually or physically impaired to still be productive using Monday.com and stay interactive with their team in that sense. You know, they might have a challenge using a screen reader to actually traverse the page on the web app or the mobile app, but they don't have to do that anymore. Instead, they can just talk to their virtual assistant, Alexa, Google, or anywhere else we want to put this, and they're off and running. And the future for this project is essentially that we're going to be building more features like that. We have the ability to see what people are saying that it doesn't do yet, so see what they might want. Then we can just go build it. And then we can also put it in more channels, put it in Bixby, put it in certain chatbots like Microsoft Teams or Slack, maybe just embedded web chat directly in Monday. And then really start to personalize that experience for the individual user to start to understand their preferences, what they tend to do more often, to cut down on the steps they have to take even more. And last but not least, the whole thing was built live on Twitch. So if you care to check out more or any of the deeper dives into how everything works or how I built it, be sure to come check that out. It's all up on GitHub as well to explore the source, deploy your own, make your own changes, and add new features yourself as well. Excited to see where this goes. It's already available in production on Alexa and Google Assistant. You can go use it now as a Monday user. You don't have to wait. So thanks for listening. Thanks for checking it out, maybe trying it out, and I'll see you in the next hackathon. So that's the hold on, let me turn my mic back up. There we go. Hello. That's the little sort of trailer, if you will. We also threw up some screenshots of like the actual experience. So using it on Google Assistant on my phone, asking about boards, adding a new item to backlog, showing the account linked stuff on Alexa. This is like traversing boards or something, showing the listing in the Google Actions directory. Screenshots from that grab. I totally messed up as I had my own SwapStream's face in front of it, but I set up a Microsoft Teams meeting with myself and another of myself, Bill, if you will, and recorded that meeting. So like I literally recorded an actual fake meeting with a fake customer or whatever. Said, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Let me add it to the backlog. Added it and immediately deleted it. I thought that was pretty funny. The shower thoughts one's actually pretty cool. The sick day one, yeah. So just taking screen grabs of those sort of 4 scenarios. So the breakdown is, what actually inspired us to do it. Well, we've been using Monday for a while. Wanted to sort of use some of our experience in conversational AI to actually do something with it and make it a teaching moment along the way, which is why we built it live. And then the gist of what it does is you enable the skill or action, you link your account, which we set up through account linking, right? So now your Amazon account and your Monday.com account know about each other or your Google account. And then you can start asking questions. Tell me about my boards. You can traverse through them. You can add some new items. And we're going to basically just be working on adding some new functionality today, a little bit anyway, to some more things we can do. So being able to traverse items and also get the details of any given item is sort of what I want to do in a couple of different ways. But yeah, I just want to show like, hey, if I said, add a new item to backlog called hello everyone, it really does add that. And then there's the architecture diagram. Basically the flow is that the user talks to their devices. It goes then to our app that we built on Voicify, which then talks to our actual code, which is an ASP.NET Core API sitting in an Azure App Service. And then that's responsible for talking back and forth to the Monday APIs, mapping responses, all that good stuff. There's basically, in certain circumstances, like 3 layers of natural language understanding. We let the assistant do the initial one on the platform that we are deployed to. So we have like an Alexa interaction model and a Dialogflow agent with some language model stuff. Voicify runs its own to help bring context to where we are in the conversation and all that. And then for certain circumstances, we want to pull out even more specific data, which we do at the webhook level. We're just doing it right now with like pattern matching, using like a built-in tool in the Voicify SDK. But we can certainly use something else like Wit or Lewis if we really wanted to make it a little smarter. And then that's it, right? So we got like 3 levels of NLU. Another thing I wanted to and I'll dig into this a little bit, is that the way we ended up setting it up, and we talked about this really just at the very end of the demo we were putting together on Wednesday, of how to actually abstract this stuff so that it's easy to add new features without always having to write code. And what I ended up doing is I created a webhook endpoint, an HTTP endpoint in our code that takes a parameter from the webhook in Voicify for the actual GraphQL query. And then I totally forgot that the Voicify SDK has like this JSON traversal. It works for XML too, but it has like a object traversal notation we can use, and we can basically pass that stuff in. So I'll show you what that looks like, and then I'll show you how easy it is to build features using that. It's pretty sick. And basically just saying like, well, now it's super easy for us to add features. So here's an example. I'll set this one up for you all in a sec, but if I wanted to create a new feature in the Monday Manager that just lets me say who am I and like get my username read back out to me, my Monday username, create a conversation item in Voicify, say who am I. We have this UR in curly braces name, of course. We add that webhook like I was talking about, and then let me see if I can zoom this in. Right, there's this. I can show this in the Voicify side, like the actual app side as well, but you put the actual GraphQL query in here, and then whatever JSON is returned, you can map that variable name, right? So we have that curly braces name here, and we can basically traverse the JSON response object to get to the right thing. So if we want to build any features that are really just like based off static content for a very straightforward query, like what's my latest activity update, we can just do that in like a minute. We don't even have to write any code. We just literally attach the generic webhook, figure out what the query is, and go. We also talk about the account linking stuff. And then one of the challenges I started running into yesterday when working on some new features was I want to I'm drinking coffee, which is quite the opposite, but I'll take it. The only hurdle that I'm still working through is how to make it a little smarter with regards to what we can do with the columns. The challenge, so some of the things we showed in the demo there were like, push my stuff back by a day. Now, we can take that request and we know what we want to do with it, right? We get the intent. It's like, what should that actually do in the Monday data? Like when I say push my stuff back by a day, presumably it means find all the things that are assigned to me that have a due date that's in the future, and push and just update that due date by 1 day, right? Like that's pretty straightforward in terms of like the logic. The problem is, what columns do we use for knowing that it's assigned to me and knowing the date? Because in theory, I could have a random column that's like, I could have like 3 date columns essentially. Like, so I should take a step back. The direction I was heading with those assumptions is like, okay, we'll find anything that has a column where it's my user ID in it. Like, for example, this one, right? This is me, Suave Pirate in here, and product owner side. But, like, I could also be the designer, and Suave App Tester could be the developer. So, like, what which of these matter, or is it any of them? And then for the dates, like here's one that's timeline. Like, would I push this timeline back a day? But what if I have another date object property, right? Because I can add just another column, and I can just have another date tag, and then this could have just something else in it. Like, which ones do we update? Do we update all? It's really built. It requires assumptions at this point, unless we build it in a way where we start asking the user what they want based off of what's available. So we'd have to turn it into like a dynamic multi-turn of like, if I say push my stuff back by a day, we'd have to like go find stuff. We can make some assumptions. Like, I feel like it's a pretty safe assumption to find stuff that like the user is on at all. That's a safer assumption than the date. But then we can be like, well, you have two date columns we can use, timeline or date, right? The one that we just added. Like, which one do you want? And then they can say it, and then we can remember that for the future. But that's a bit more work than we're going to get before the hackathon's done. But I think that's a future feature we could build. One of the things I want to do today, though, is be able to get an item overview. So if I traverse or to an item, if I go like, okay, tell me about the sprint planning board. We're now in the context of the sprint planning board. We start iterating through items. We get to the Built Monday app item. I want to just get basically all of the values of every property here. But then I also want to be able to ask for like the overview of an item by just kind of searching for it by name. So if I just say like, what's the status of the Bixby capsule item, like that expression, I want to get this item's details without having to say the whole thing. But if we can get close enough. So those are the two things I want to work on there, and we'll get into that. But I'll give you an overview first of what we're gonna be, of what I've built in the meantime. And then after that, we'll get back into the Alexa Conversations Hackathon, which we were building Tweetlibs. It got booted back again. That's fine. There was some weird issue after we changed some of the dialogue stuff in Alexa Conversations that we saw. So we just got to make some more tweaks and get it deployed, maybe build some more Madlib templates. And then there's another hackathon that I just signed up for that ends in like a week by Facebook for using Wit AI. So we are already working on Suave Keys, which is all conversationally driven to let people play games with their voice using it as a controller. And the next thing we were going to work on after we figure out the offline issue on Windows is the Android app using it as a microphone. And this would actually be a great chance to do that. Like, we can basically rebuild our language model from like Alexa and Dialogflow on Wit, and then build the Android app to use the speech-to-text services built into the OS, send that text over to Wit, get the response back, forward that to Voicify, and then the rest should just go from there. We're already authenticated and everything, so that might be an interesting opportunity for us to make some progress on Suave Keys and also participate in the AI hackathon from Facebook for Wit, and see if Wit AI is actually going to be really useful there. And I feel like that would be an awesome use case for the hackathon as well. But yeah, so let me show you what's been going on and what the sort of deal is. So with Monday Manager, basically, to review the structure of the project, it's just a single ASP.NET Core API, and it all is built around a Voicify app that we put together that's deployed to Alexa and Google. So all of those webhooks start with this list of endpoints here in the Voicify controller. We have some of the sign-in stuff that kicks off account linking. That's already been there. Then we basically have a few key things here. We have like generic just handle boards, handle current board, handle next, handle previous, handle items, create item, and then the generic query. So that's what we're working with right now. The separation that I wanted to go with is to let Voicify handle all of the conversation management and to make these endpoints mostly focused around just the data. And so the way that we did that was by basically making these webhooks just add context to what, like, if they're for a single board or if they're for a collection of boards, like what is that, the data context there that they're responsible for. And with that, we end up with a whole bunch of variables that we can essentially start to play with. So I'll go show you some of those real quick. Like if we go to board questions, we can go to like next board. There's a few different ways to ask this. This is using the actual like built-in next intent from Amazon. But you'll notice here that like this is actually responsible for the structure and the conversation design. So we have this board is board name and has board group count groups and board item count items. Now, this whole thing, like we in theory could just override from our webhook, right? Because webhooks can override anything from the device response down. So it can override this output, it can change the follow-up, any of that stuff. But I really wanted to focus on making the webhook just care about like, hey, I know what a board name is because I control the context of what a board object is. And so as an example now, all we had to do was attach that get next board item. And if we go look at that webhook, right, for handle next board, let me show you what the actual service is. So we do all our validation and stuff. We then have 2 calls. We get all of the boards in context, and we get the current board. So the way we do that, both of these work basically the same way, is we see if we already have all of your boards in session. So the session object is controlled by Voicify, but we tell it from our webhook, like, hey, can you keep track of this object for me for a bit? And we say, like, okay, do we already have it in session? Meaning, like, I've already asked questions about boards in this conversation, so I don't have to ask again. And if we don't have it in session, then we actually go hit Monday, and we ask for all of the boards for the user in their current team. So then we have it, and then we end up stashing it in session after that. And then it's the same thing for current board. There's basically just 2 session attributes, boards and current board, and we'll end up adding more for the item stuff as well. So for example, if we go back up to the that next board item, right? So we get all the boards and we get the current board. Now we have the data that we're actually working with. We then just basically get the next one out of that list of boards based off of where the current board is. And then all we do is call this build board response given the current content, right? So this property request.response.content in this scenario is this string, right? We would get this string in that property. So what we can do with that is just replace any of the variables we know about with the actual board data. So like board item count, right? That's that actual variable board item count over here in Voicify, board item count. So instead of having to replace and worry about building out a whole response here conversationally, the webhook just, oops, that's swap keys. The webhook literally just says, we'll go replace it with the actual board's item length. And the board name is the board name, right? And so what we can do is as we start to know more about a board and can provide better overview details, the webhook can just worry about that data and be like, all right, I know the variables that I can replace, so just replace them. And Voicify, and or I guess like me using Voicify, can build and design the conversation in a way where it's like, hey, if I ask for like what is the name of that board again? Like the one I was just talking about, that's a completely different conversation item. I don't want to get this whole thing. I just want to grab the name of the board. And I can do that by just attaching the same get current board webhook and just being like, here's your board name. And I'd be like, how many items does this board have? Same webhook, but I just use this variable. So it allows us to become really, it gives us a really good separation of concerns of like data ownership and structure, and then like the actual true conversation stuff, which we just manage in Voicify. But we got it even more generic, which I do want to show you. And this is the example that I showed in that actual like run through of the like using the GraphQL query. So we have another endpoint here. I keep opening swap keys. We have another endpoint in the Voicify controller that's just called generic query. All of these take in the raw request object from Voicify, which could be in theory anything. But if we go to this handle generic Monday query, this one please. Nope. What are you doing? Give me that. All right. Here's the explainer. I love it. So basically, it's like how I would actually just speak it. So basically, this endpoint takes the parameters of a GraphQL query and then any variables with traversal values, like the remote content fulfillment integration. This is an existing integration. So these are the parameters that we would get from the webhook. The query, which is this is just a GraphQL query. And then we can specify variable names in that traversal structure. Then the conversation can have something like your first board is blank, right? So just like we saw with like the next board where we have variables we can use there, this lets us customize it even more on the Voicify side. And we're just telling the webhook what we want to query for and where we want to pull values out of. So we say your first board is blank, and the webhook with those parameters would output the board is blah, blah, blah. So here's how that works, right? We do our normal, like, hey, let's validate some stuff. So we make sure you're authenticated. We do that by making sure that an access token came in the body of the request. We then make sure that we have parameters, right? This isn't going to work unless we have a query parameter, which we then validate actually straight up pulling out of the dictionary, because this parameters is just a dictionary of string to string. It looks like this in Voicify. If I go to even like the next board one, any webhook can get extra parameters. I add a custom property, string, right? So that's how we get that dictionary. We just cancel that. So we get that query out. We then get any of what I'm calling tokens, right? The variables that are actually available. We get any of the ones that start with a curly brace. That's, I mean, it's a pretty lame way to do it. You probably should be doing it the regular expression to find anything that's wrapped in curly braces. But we're basically just grabbing those and selecting them out. Then we send that to the data provider. So we just say, here's the query and here's the access token. So to give you an idea what that looks like, this. We don't use the GraphQL client anymore because we actually need the full object to send to it, and we need to do the serialization ourselves rather than like trying to build it. Like we have this like send query, but we also don't want to assume that it's a query and not a mutation, because you could in theory add a mutation to it. So we could create a mutation query and send it, and then like every time I hit that item, it creates a task for me in Monday, which I think is actually going to be super useful for other Voicify users outside of the Monday Manager app. Like if I get to like a customer support situation, I can automatically create a bug ticket for us, and I don't have to write any code. So here's that method, right? We get the query, we set the access token, all that good stuff, and then the real reason is that the GraphQL client is strongly typed to what the actual output value is going to be in JSON. So we have to provide it a type, but I don't want to give it a type because I'm using that traversal structure instead. I don't care about the actual class that it's going to represent. And so instead we literally return the raw JSON string. So basically the important thing to note is that this make raw query request takes an access token in any GraphQL query. It makes that for you, and it just returns whatever the JSON is. Actually, it's not even necessarily JSON. It's literally whatever the response body is as a string. You get that back. So what we do with that is we try to throw it into a J object, and then we call the data traversal service. This is a built-in feature of the SDK that Voicify ships with, which I'll pull up real quick. We go to GitHub. See, it's going to be Voicify devs, Voicify.net SDK, or .net webhook SDK. That's the project. Perfect. So this is going to have a service in here called the data traversal service, I think, or something like that. Yeah. So here's what that looks like. We take the J object, and then we basically like break up any of the. It also works with XML, but essentially what we do is we take that string, that selector string notation, and we take each part of it and we just start moving through the object, and then we do it in just like a recursive way. So in the scenario here that's outlined in the comments of the code, right, this boards at 0-name, like we're going to take this. We're going to see that there is a boards property in the J object that we're currently at, that sort of current position. There is, cool. Now we know we have an array selector. So let's go see if we can grab the value from here, and let's get the first one in the array. If that's good, then we can get to that first object, and it should have a name property. So we're good to go. And that basically is how we get to the actual value. So what we're doing is we have that original dictionary of like the name of the variable in the traversal object, and then we're getting essentially that same name of the variable, but now the actual value after it's been traversed. And then all we do is replace it, right? We get that response content. That's that same property that represents what's typed into Voicify. We take it and we just replace any variables that we have, and then we return that. So let me sort of walk through an example of that. We can build one real quick. I'm going to go to just the Monday Monday's got like the GraphQL sandbox. I gotta go grab an API key, so hold on. Because all our stuff is doing OAuth, so I don't like have it offhand. 1 second here, I'm just doing it on the other screen. Admin, API, copy that. Okay, you can't see all of it, which is good. All right, so we've got this. So as an example here, we're using the me query, and you can see that's my username. Let me pull this stuff back up. Oop. So we can play around here basically with the GraphQL query options, and we can see all the stuff that's available because GraphQL is all typed to what's available. We can also try to grab some other stuff. So I've already done the one for me. It's already invoicify, so I'll try to do something else. We can get updates, and then that's got a text body property. There's no updates. What about account? No. What else can we get? Items? We can just get items. Complexity. What else can we do here? Notifications. What about me? What can I get from me? Teams, enabled, birthday, email. I can get my birthday. I didn't even know they had that. Why don't I have any updates? I thought I'd actually have some. Maybe I have to do it from a board. I was playing around with some stuff in here. So here's like that mutation for creating an item as an example. Why don't we do this? We can do this. This won't be as useful of one, but we can do like getting the second board or something like that, or even something more complicated. So here we're gonna query for boards, get the ID name, the groups in them, and then also the items and their column values. So if we send that, we'll get a much larger object back. So for example, we could create an item that's like, what is the first board? What is the first group in the first board? And it should be idea board. So let's go make that conversation item essentially. So what I'm going to do is create a. This is actually, we'll just do it in here. Create a new question answer. We'll call it sample first group in first board. So then I'll say, what is the first group in the first board? This isn't like a realistic thing that we'd want to ask. Eventually we'll be doing it by actually searching, but whatever. The first group is, and we can say group name, right? So we're going to create that variable and we'll say board name. And we'll just have an open-ended follow-up here. So I'm going to save that. And then what we can do is go attach the webhook. Because it's already there, so we won't have to write any code to do this. So we have generic query. And now we need to add the query variable. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to do this, right? We're going to actually just grab this. I'm going to just delete all this extra stuff. All the stuff that I don't actually need. Like, we don't even need items in this case. Right. That would be it. Cool. So I can take that, and then I can paste it. I'm going to just comma separate everything to be safe. That should work. And then we need to add a property for group name. Group name, right? That's what we called it. And so if we look at the structure, it's going to be data boards at 0 dash groups at 0. I think that's right. So we'll do data boards at 0, groups at 0, and then name, right? Is it name or title? Title. And then we can add the next one for board name. And in this case, we just need I think in this case it's called name on the board. Okay. So we've got the board name. It should say that the first group is idea board in SwapStream's sample board. All right, let's try that out, right? So not having to write any code. We're not running it locally. Let me try it from Google. Hey, Google. Talk to Monday Manager.
Alright, here's the test version of Monday Manager. Welcome to Monday Manager. Ask questions about your boards or tasks. Start with something like, tell me how many boards I have. Where should we start?
What is the first group in the first board?
The first group is Idea Board in SuaveStream Sample Board.
And that's it. That just works now. Now anyone who uses Monday and is signed into the app can just ask about the first group and the first board. So I mean, it's really useful for us to be able to like quickly spin up static features like that. Like I wanna get like latest update, but I need to prove that I can actually have data. Because if we can do that, then we can very easily get all of the details. Let me comment this stuff out. Because I'd love to be like, well, what's new, right? And I just want to say like, what are my updates? And I just want to get that. But I need values in here. So maybe there's something we can do to force some values. I'm gonna go back to my actual board itself, which means I can close this one. New team member join. Like this feels like it's an update, right? Like what endpoint are they hitting? We can actually actually this is a good. I haven't even done this yet. Why don't we look at what they're doing to get this stuff? Boom, 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 boom. Oh my god. Oh, they're probably actually using like a REST API or something, huh? Board templates, apps. Hey, it's my apps. Auth, notifications. Oh, is that something we can do? Is there no? Maybe we need to go from boards, bards, even better. All right, so let's see if there's what else can we get out of boards? We can get updates in the boards. This has text body. All right, let's try that. So we could say like, what's the? I want like my top level account notifications. I wonder if that comes from account. Let's see. We'll comment this out. This is useful though. There's a lot here, but this is also like on every single board that's there. Like it's just all of them. Text body just says report call. Like that just doesn't seem useful. Clearly this one doesn't do anything, so we'll skip that. What about account updates? No. What about me? Alright, so I do me, updates, notifications, anything, photo I don't care for. Maybe let's see if we can get some docs. Monday GraphQL API. I just want to see like what else is available for us. Querying, updates, tags, users, teams, boards, items. Is there something else from updates we can actually grab then? Updates. Whoa, that got formatted weird. Assets, boards, complexity, items, me, tags, teams, users. See if we can even just get, I just want like something. Give me some updates. Let's see, what if I want these. Show me this, like where do I get this? I probably can, it's probably just not available to third parties. What if let me go like add something, right? I'm gonna be like, this is manually added. Now do I have updates? No. Activity logs. Let's see what that looks like from a board. Hold on, I want to see all these other stuff that they talk about. Activity logs could be interesting. Updates. Maybe I need to specify a limit, otherwise it won't like me. They have like a sample here. All right, let's try doing it with a limit, otherwise it might get mad. Boom. Updates? No, nothing. I just don't have any updates, I guess. Oh, can I just like normally log in here? No! Oh, don't make me... Oh, come on. I just closed that tab, too. Dang it. Alright, hold on. I'm going to get my key again. Admin, API, copy. Oh, you know what? I actually don't need to do it from there. I need to hide this one. There we go. I guess it doesn't really matter. Like this, doing it over here, it's blurred anyway. So you can't steal my keys. All right, monitoring the network did not help. All right, there's no updates. If we go to boards, I want to see the activity log. All right, we'll uncomment that. Get rid of updates, activity logs, event. I think that's just a string property. Oh my. Create group, create pulse. Goodness. Alright, so we probably want like the name of the board too, so we know what's going on here. Jeez. These were all like automated. So like, what's data? Yeah, let's see what do we got there. Ooh. Oh no, it's JSON in a string. That's more difficult. Oh, you know, that's not the first time we've seen that though. So like, for example, the columns, let me get back to this fuller query. Oh god, the formatting. No, the formatting. Ew. No. Hold on. We're just going to make it look less gross. Okay. So we can get like the column values, for example. Let me run this. So if we look at items, this is manually added, right? So this is the one that we literally just typed in here. The column values, you can get like the ID and the title of it. This is where we were starting to play around with like grabbing these and then using them to actually give overviews. So when we start to iterate through items, we can be like, oh, the title is null, and we can just find ones that are not null. So for example, if I go down here, these are ones where it's also a little tricky because each type, its value is also just a stringified JSON object with other things in it. But there's also like a text value. So like we might just be able to use that. Like but some of them don't have text values even though they have a value. Like this one has a value in it and it just says index 5, but that doesn't like mean anything to me, but then the text is null. So I kind of feel like we have to go by the text, but then there's ones for the users. Let me get down here, right? Like let's see, scope defined, domain impact owner, right? Oh, that's not a good one because it's not assigned. Can we find one that's assigned here real quick? Item 1. Okay, so person, like the text value swap pirate, which like means that we could do like a person based lookup, but like at least we know if it's a user one, it's the same structure. So like we can make an object that represents this and like do the serialization ourselves. Because like persons and teams, it's always an array and it's always the user ID. So we can grab the current user ID in each query, right? Like I can combine these. Oops, not that. I'm gonna query for me and all my boards. So like there's my user ID, which means that like I can find things where it's assigned to me, but it's like in that JSON string. So it's a little weird. So what I'm thinking for features to build right now for today, before we move on to the Alexa Hackathon and maybe the WIT AI one, is first of all we need to do item traversal, item traversing, or iterating, not traversing, iterating. So this will be like in the context of a board, get item details, next item, previous item. I also want item details by name. So that's like tell me about item name. item. And that's like a way to sort of just jump to it. And we could have like a few different ways to do it, like what's up with item. Because one of the challenges with this is like this structure, tell me about item. This could also just be like, what if I wanted to say, tell me about the Suave Stream sample board, like the whole board, and I want an overview of that by name. So we might need to like say like, instead of item here, tell me about subject, and then that's gonna do like search for board, then group, then item by subject, and like whichever one's first wins, I guess. And then I want to do maybe start to work on some of these like assumption based ones more confidently. So like I said, those were experimental. I might want to actually build them for everyone. So like what's assigned to me, and it's just gonna like search items where user is in any user based column. Like we could do it by name, so like anywhere where the text is the name. The problem is for ones that have multiple user assignments, I don't know what that text value looks like. Maybe we can figure that out real quick before we get too far. We can do this actually. Let's add a new column here for people. Oh, this one actually, it already has it. Dang it. So I can add both people here. So person is both of us now. If I re-query this, we go research for item 1. Okay, so it's just comma separated. So if we could do it by person name and just look at the value of the column, the text value, and like if it has your name anywhere, then you're good. Or we can like check to see if the problem is like I don't know what the type is, right? Like there's no way for me to know that this type for this column is the same as this, unless there's something I'm missing here. Type. Oh, I'm an idiot. Ooh, complexity went too far. What if we shoot? That's still too far. Like just adding type went too far. Ugh. Okay, so type was a no-no. Wait, now this is still yelling at me? What happened here? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we won't query for the type unless we need to go like get it ahead of time, and then we can get the full item. Like if we get let's do this, right? We need ID here. Hopefully that's not too complicated, right? So if we were to get this one, we could do a query for an item by name. I think, right? We can do items, IDs. We can do ID, name. So if we just take like all this stuff and then type, and then we can say type in here. Fix some formatting. So like in this case, we can do the 1 and we can get the type. So if it gets too complicated, we could kind of like step it back and check against the type, like multiple person versus single person. But I think like short term, saying things that are assigned to me, like it's a simple thing where we can work on some assumptions and go from there, I guess. Okay, but let's start with these. Let's start with just item iterating and item details by name and sort of do that lookup. And then the next round will be like items assigned to me. We'll work with just check the text value, or we'll just check the, yeah, I guess we'll start with just the text value, because of that way we don't have to like assume the JSON structure or anything. For current username. And what else do we need to do? What else? We do need to keep track of the user. We can cache that in session just like we do with board. So anytime we get a request, just like go get the current user too and stash them. Okay. That's probably pretty good. And then, like I said, I don't think we're going to implement the like push back a day universally yet because there's too many assumptions there, and I'd rather just do it right. So before we get started actually building some of this stuff out, I'm going to go grab some more coffee. So I'll be right back in about a minute, and then we'll go from there.
Searching for the quiet that you need to breathe. Gave up on your sanity to hide behind your shadow. While you tried to take the sun down, hearts don't ever change to gold. Out there thinking that you're in the world alone. No one ever told you that you'll have to fight for something, or you'll never learn to balance. It's too cold standing in the middle of the downpour, looking in the mirror 'cause it's only you that you have to lose. Headed backward on a one-way, trying to stop from running but you can't wait. Bury all the evidence you'll only learn when you crash and burn. When you crash and burn. When you crash and burn. Living in a crazy world, following the path that always twists and turns. Gave up on your sanity to hide behind the devil, 'cause you think you'll live forever. Say you're never getting old. Out there thinking that you're in the world alone. No one ever told you that you have to live for something, or in the end you will be nothing. It's too cold standing in the middle of the downpour, looking in the mirror 'cause it's only you that you have to lose. Headed backward on a one-way, trying to stop from running but you can't wait. Bury all the evidence you'll only learn when you crash and burn. When you crash and burn. When you crash and burn.
Okay, we're back. Let's do it. I've got more coffee, so I'm ready to rumble. All right, so for item iterating, it's going to work almost the exact same way as our board iterating. Hi, Bentley. My dog came down. Hi, buddy. Which means use your points for feeding my dog treats. Okay, so basically in our Monday response service for like the get next, get current, all that stuff, for boards, we're just going to do the same thing for items. I kind of started this a little bit. You actually just collapse all this stuff. We'll probably end up wanting to separate this because right now this is just doing all of it in like all the mapping and stuff in one service. There's probably some abstractions we can put here too, but we're like current board, next board, previous board. The get items is going to be the same as get boards, right? So basically all of these we also want to do for items within the context of a board. So you have to have a board first, which we can already work around because we get the current board and we default that to the first one. But then we need to go get the items. So what I'm going to do is I might just play this safe and not even cache these items other than the current item. So to go get item stuff, we need an endpoint in the provider. Yeah, you know what we might be able to do? We might be able to get, if we already have a board. Hold on. I'm getting somewhere in my head. We can make this probably a little more complex because we're already going to have a board. So let's look at like this one, for example. Right, here's our baseline one. This is basically what we're using right now for getting boards, which includes some items. But if we want like all of the items details, we don't have to just rely on what's here because we're already going to have the context of a board. So what I can do is, let's do this. We can do boards, IDs is that, and then we can probably get type here now because it's not going to be too complex. Boom, there we go. So that's probably the move, right? This is going to be the query. So we're going to make a method here on the provider that is get items for board. So do public async task get, what am I doing? This is going to be a result of item array. We'll say get items for board. Take the access token. And we also need the board ID. And then we can say var items is await, send query. We're going to want, this is a board's response technically. Yeah. So this is still the same response because we do start from the same object. Pass the access token. And then the query is going to look like this. Oof. Okay, so we got to escape these. Escape them, escape them, escape all of the curly brackets, except for when we actually swap out that ID, when we'll add that. I'm also going to get some nicer indentation up in here. So let's move all this over. Nothing like shoving strings into something like this. So that's fine. This, though, is going to be board ID. Get rid of some of this extra spacing. Oh, we need the wrapper one as well. That, did we get the right one here? We still need the closing one as well. This is really that one. Okay, so that gets indented twice. Okay, starting to look a little nicer. Actually, yeah, we can unindent these each one. Okay, that's a lot nicer. At least it's much easier to edit. Okay, and so let's actually just return the board array, and we're just gonna do basically the same thing here. It's just a different query. Right. Board's response, responsne. I'm going to change that up here too. It's a much better variable name. All right. Here we go. We've got this. We need to put it on the interface. And we need to add to the item object the column values property, which means we need a column value object. And basically that's going to be this. So it's going to have ID, title, text, value, type. All of those I think are strings. Yeah. ID, title, text, value, type. Prop, string, ID, prop, string, title, prop, string, value, prop, string, type, prop, string, text. Oops. What am I doing with these lowercase ones? There we go. Right? ID, title, value, type, typity, type. Perfect. None of these are other complex types. Some of these might not be strings, though. I'm a little worried about that, but that's okay. They seem like they stringify everything anyway, just to be safe, which I very much like. Okay. So, we have the ability to just get the items for a current board, which means that we can now say var board with items is await get items, await provider get items for board, and we want request.original.access token, and then we want current board.id. Sweet. We need to make sure that this is not null, as I think we're going to end up returning. No, we'll throw an exception if it goes wrong. So we're safe there. Get rid of the to-do. We're working on it. This is going to be like the items overview. So we can say var first. What do we got here? We got the first item. We got the board. And we want to stash those items. So instead of not implemented, we want to build an items overview response. So kind of like what we did down here. Have this build item overview, items overview. We'll keep those values in there as well. But we can also replace, let's see, do we have this like first item name? Oh, what if we say current item name? Let's just do that. Say board items first or default dot name. We don't really need the parentheses anymore. We do need to add this, so we'll create a new variable in here. Public const string item name is item name. Beautiful. So then instead, we can do build items overview. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. Request, response, content, and then the board with items. Items dot first or default. Because that's still technically an array. Is this happy? This is not happy about something. Build items overview is not in context. What? Oh. Oh my god. That was like the most insane error for like, hey, we had an extra semicolon when we didn't need one. Let's say result. Oh, this does return a result type, so we should say if board with items dot result type is not equal okay, then we'll return error. Oh, not result type, data. There we go. All right. So we've got now the ability to get the items overview. Now we need to handle next item. Oh, and we need to set current item in here, right? So we can say additional session attributes is a new dictionary of string to object, and then we're going to add session attributes dot current item, which we've already set up. We can say board with items dot data dot first or default dot items dot first or default. Make sure we got some null checks in there. And one thing we actually need to do still, like we created that column value, we need to make sure that's on the item though. Let's see what that structure looks like. It's called column values, so we do need to have a JSON property explicitly on there. So we'll say prop. This is going to be a list of column value called column values, and we need JSON property. There you go. Sweet. Perfect. All right, so now we need to do next item, which is going to be like just like next board. What we're going to do is this get current board from request. I basically want to take this for like get current item. get the current item. So we'll have that context. I'm going to say current item. This is going to be item object. If that's not null, then we're going to deserialize into item. And if not, then we need to call get boards. Oh, this isn't type is item. All right, so if we don't have it in session, we want to go get the first board or the current board. So we'll say var current board equals await get first get current board from request. If current board equals null, then we just got to return null. Something went wrong there. Otherwise, we want to say that the we need to go get the detailed item though again, so we need to do this. Board with items, and then it's this. Return that with some null checks. Don't need that. There we go. Alright, so now we can get the current item from the request. So if we look at like what we're doing for next board, for example, or even just let's do like current item. Alright, get current item. Current item is await get current item. And then we just build build item response, item detail response. Current item. I'm going to set current item. We're going to add or update it to current item. And then we need to actually do this, right? So same thing with like the response builder here. This is going to be build item detail response, except it's going to take in an item. So we need to figure out like what variables we actually want to use. Item. So in this case, get rid of all these. We can still use item name, except it's just going to be item dot name. We need to figure out how to do value. Like we can do like a just overall values like list. Let's do that. Item values. So we can say that we're going to replace response variables dot values with item column values, where the columns text is not null, we should do null or empty. String.is null or empty for c.text. Then we're going to select the text, and we're going to do string. Basically need like this item has the item is called whatever, and the blank is blank, and the blank is blank. Like we need to like build it a little more intelligently, I think. So for each of the values, we want the title and the text value, essentially. We need to do that in like an iterated fashion. So we won't just select the text. Here's what we want. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do string.join. We're going to separate it with a comma. And we're going to take the column values and we're going to select out into a string. We need some null checks here though. And what we should do is also, if this is all null, then we'll say it's a new string array. And to be safe, we'll do to array here, so it's going to be the same type. Right, new empty string array, worst case. So now we just need to figure out like what that template is essentially for like the item name and value. We can say c.title is c.text. Okay, we can always play with that once we actually get a feel for how it sounds too. Okay. Build item. Right. Build item. Detail response. So now we just had typed out. Okay, so we've got get current item, which means that get next and stuff like that is going to be super easy. So we'll say get next item. Now we also need the actual items. So we'll say var items is await get current get. We do need like a just get items. Oh, you know, we're always going to call the API. Provider get items for board. We do need the current board. Essentially this, right? Like we need this first. Cool. And then we want the next one, right? So the same thing that we sort of did here. Next item, get items, get current item, get next item, right? So all the way down here. So then we'll say var items is board with items, data, first or default items. And if not, we'll make sure we have an empty array at least. Alright, so we've always got items of current item. What the heck? Current item. What is this not like? Oh. Current item is that then. And then we set it, and then we build items detail with now the new current item. Easy peasy. Alright, so then previous is the same thing except that we're just hitting the previous one. So this is previous. And this is going to be if the current index is greater than 0. This will just be current index -1. Alright. Sweet. Let's add it to the interface. Let's add our endpoints. And let's start adding, testing it out with the Voicify setup. So we've got basically all these, except now for items. Get current item. Get previous item. Get next item. And did we do everything right? If we did everything right, this should be satisfied. Sweet. So we just do... Basically, I'm just going to copy these and change everything from board to item. Handle current item. Handle next item. Handle previous item. Item. And item. And item. And then it's item. Oh, and it's item. And item. Alright, let's see if we build. See how we're looking. Build succeeded. Let's throw this up onto Azure haphazardly and see how it goes. Alright, so now what we can do is on the Voicify side, we can go add a new webhook. So we go to integrations. I'm just going to look up Monday Do we have anything for items here yet? Okay, we don't. Add a new. We're going to do custom webhook. New custom webhook. Monday manager dev get current item gets the current item details. It's that, except it's handle current item response resolver. That's the endpoint, right? Back to my controller to make sure. Handle current item. Perfect. I'm going to set up the next and previous ones too. Monday manager dev, oops, manager get next item, gets the next item, handle next item, content item response resolver. Then we got to do previous item, another custom webhook. Monday manager get prev item gets the previous item, handle previous item, and response resolver test. Man, it makes me think I should have a duplicate button in here. Okay, so now what we can do is conversationally basically get into the items. So we've got item overview here. This one we actually want to have a response. Oh wait, we need the handle items one, just like the items overview. Did we finish implementing that? Board with items. Yeah. Okay. We need to make one more webhook. Monday manager dev. Oops. Get items overview. Gets the overview of current board items. Dang it. Is it just handle items? Content item response resolver. Test. Right? We just called it handle items. Cool. Anyway, now we can go back to that conversation item for items overview. And we can attach that integration. So we'll do... Oh, we're already calling get current board. Items overview. Update. Delete current board. You can say this board has... Actually, we'll do this. Board name has item count. I gotta check these variables. The first one is first item name. Do you want to hear the details? Actually, we're gonna move that to a follow-up. Oh, no, we want this. Of this item. We'll change this. All right, let's check those variables. Response variables. Board name. Oh, we need just item name, not first item name. All right, item overview. Just item name. Is it item count? Board item count and board name. Board item count. All right, let's try it out. Oh, someone's there. The dog's mad. Let's do this. I'm gonna test it out on Google first. Try. Talk to Monday Manager.
Alright, getting the test for...
Oops. Tell me about my items.
This board has board underscore item underscore count items. The first one is current underscore item underscore name.
Yikes, that's not good. And then it left. That doesn't feel right. Ask Monday Manager to tell me about my boards.
Starting the test version of Monday Manager.
You have 6 boards.
Okay.
Do you want to learn more about the first one?
Something. This is not the conversation item it hit. What did it hit? Board item summary. Oh, we're already working on this.
Monday Manager lets you interact with your
Board item count, current item name. I don't know where it. This doesn't even have an integration on it. I'm gonna disable that. Okay. Tell me about my items.
This Suave Stream
Okay, there we go.
sample board has 16. The first one is this is manually added. Do you want to hear the details of this item?
Alright, great. So that endpoint's working, the items overview. That sounded super awkward though. You know what I'm gonna do too? Let me get Visor up so we can look at my phone while we do this too. 1 second. We'll make sure we can actually look at the thing. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah. Now can I view it? Okay. Alright, where were we? Items overview. This needs some love on the response. Has items. The first one is, I'm gonna wrap this in quotes too. Alright. Let's try that again. Tell me about my items.
This Suave Stream sample board has 16 items. The first one is this is manually added. Do you want to hear the details of this item?
Alright. So now let's go create those follow-ups, right? So like the yes, get details, no, I don't care, whatever. So we can create a simple choice called yes, here item details. That's a yes. And then we can say item name. Let's say here's the current values on item name, and then we'll just say item values, and then we'll go from there. Then the next prompt can be want to hear about the next item, and we'll end up adding a conversation item for next item. So we'll leave this at that, and well, we got to go add the webhook to it though. Yes, here item details. They should use the current item one. Current item update. And now we need to go from items overview. This is currently pointing to other conversation items in the targeted response, so we just need to change this to go to ours. Actually, we probably use that default note anyway. Alright. This I want to replace with item details. Actually, I don't need that one. First one is blank. Do you want to hear the details? Let's add a hint here for yes, because we want the user to say yes. And we'll close that. Alright. So now over here we should just be able to go, tell me about my items. Oops, I got all freaked out when Visor popped up the ad. Tell me about my items.
This Suave Stream sample board has 16 items.
We can just tap yes.
Here's the current values on this as manually added, item underscore values. Want to hear about the next item?
Let's stop that. Why did that not... Oh, wrong one again. Why did that not fill in... Oh, man. Item values. That's why. Let's just republish this real quick. Shamelessly right-click publishing. I'm so confident I don't even want to run it locally. We're just going to go for it. Alright, it's up, which means we can go back here. Tell me about my items. It's got to hit then. Tap yes.
Here's the current values on this as manually added. Want to hear about the next item?
All right, that's probably because it has no values, so I probably should change that. All right, here, I'm going to assign me to this. It's going to be done. It's going to be set to there, and that's good. So back over here, now let's try it again. We should actually have some values now. Tell me about my items. And we'll tap yes again.
The Suave Stream. Here's the current values on this as manually added. Person as Suave Pirate. Status as done. Date is the 14th of August 2020. Want to hear about the next item?
Alright, so that's pretty good. We need to obviously add spaces around these comma separated values and stuff. We can do that real quick. One thing I just want to sort of highlight here, right? Like, we're adding stuff in development, even though this action is actually published. All this stuff that we're adding is actually available right now in production. Like, even as we're literally developing it, the second I'm publishing it, anyone who wants to use it can use it. Like, if you have already added the Google action for Monday Manager, you can now ask about your items, start iterating through it as we're actually literally building it live. So just one of the fun features of the fact that we separated everything so cleanly and are using Voicify to do the deployments and syncing. All right, so what were we? We were down here, right? So we don't just want to use comma to separate it. It's going to be down here. All right. This ugly ass method. Do it like that. Person is. What if we had line breaks? Let's do this. 2 line breaks, and then the comma. And then instead of this is currently. Alright. Send it again. We'll hit it again. And then we'll set up the next and previous stuff. So we can just go yep, and just literally tap yes and get through all the item details. I think it'll also make it display quite a bit better. Another thing we could do is on the response side. Where were we? Right, so like this is just returning the string. When we build the response, like we're setting content, which is the output speech, but we could also set display text override to be different than the content. So we could say, like, if you're on a screen-based device, we could be like, here's the details of it, and we can speak it out, but then we could have like a bullet point list, potentially anyway. All right, let's do it again. Tell me about my items.
This Suave Stream sample.
Tap yes.
Here's the current values on this as manually added. Person is currently Suave Pirate. Status is currently done. Date is currently the 14th of August 2020. Want to hear about the next item?
It's a lot better, except the fact that I messed up the formatting. It should be after the comma. Alright, that's going to be good enough for now. Let's go add the conversation items for next. So just like we did with the board, we can say yes to go to the next item, or we want them to be able to just say next, which means we can use the built-in intent. One thing we do need to handle, though, is that this needs to be contextual, that handle one. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go into here, item details, and I'm going to actually clone it. Alright, so yes, next item. That's good. This one's actually going to point to itself, which is pretty dope. Yes, save and activate. We still need a default no. I'm going to add that real quick. It doesn't need to do any webhook calls. It just needs to like reset the conversation essentially. Simple choice. No, don't go to next item. Supposed to be okay, and then we'll add a follow-up that's just open-ended and said, what else do you want? What else can I help with? Save. So then from item, from item overview, we're going to add that no option. So we've got default board no. We can get rid of that. We want this one. And we also want to add that as the the other option on the other ones. But you know what we should also do? Let's set up that next item first. So we'll create a custom request. So it'll be next item. It'll be if we do Amazon.nextIntent or input.next. That's the Google one. And I'm going to duplicate this because I need to go grab the value because it's going to be the same output speech as this one. And it's going to be the same targeted response. It's going to be basically just the same thing. That we'll grab the yes, no, and then we'll also reference itself. So we'll have a nice little loop there. No and yes. On-screen hint will be yes, and save. Great. So now from item details, we can add the next, no, next. Hint of yes. And then from the yes, next item, we'll have the same three options. We've already got the yes one, so we'll say no and next. That's already set up. And then from the next one, we'll do the make sure we have the self-referencing one. It needed to be created first before we reference itself. We've already got the yes, no. So now we just grab itself. We can save that. And then we need previous too. Oh, actually let me just duplicate this real quick. You can do it from here too. Items. This is going to be the previous item. So this is the previous intent and input dot previous. Okay, so now next item and previous item need their webhooks attached. So this one will be next item. Boom. And then previous will be previous item. All right, let's try it out. Oh, actually, real quick, you know what we need to do? We need the next and previous ones need context turned on, because now we actually have two conversation items that can handle the next intent. One of them is for boards, and one of them is for items. Which means that our board ones, these next and previous should also have context turned on. I don't think they do. Okay. And then previous board. What this does is it means that you can't hit this conversation item unless it is a targeted response of another conversation item. So if I just hit the welcome message and say next, like that doesn't mean anything without the context. But if I didn't have that on, I hit the welcome message, I say next, it's just gonna like get the second board, which like maybe we want that. But because we now have two different scenarios where next and previous mean two different things depending on where you are, turning that context switch on is great. Okay, let's try this out. Next. Oh, that's not going to work. Hold on. So let's just reset everything. Talk to Monday Manager.
All right, here's the test version.
Tell me about my items.
This Suave Stream sample board has 16 items. The first one
Say yes. So this should be the manually added, and then the next one should be
on this as manually added.
New item.
Person is currently Suave Pirate.
All right, let's see if we can get there.
Okay, what else can I help with?
Oh, what the heck? Look at this. Did I mess it up? Yes, it. Oh, you know when I duplicated that no item. Hold on. Right, this no, don't go to next item. I forgot to flip it to Yo, James, what's good? I forgot to flip this to the no option, so yes was actually no there. Alright, let's restart this. Ask Monday Manager to tell me about my items.
Okay, let's get the test version of Monday Manager.
This Suave Stream sample board has 16 items. The first one is, this is manually added. Do you want to hear the details of this item?
Yes. Do it like this.
Here's the current values on this as manually
Right,
added.
this is manually
Person
added.
is currently Suave Pirate. Status is currently done. Date is currently the 14th of August 2020. Want to hear about the next item?
Yes.
Here's the current values on this as manually added. Person is currently Suave Pirate. Status is currently done. Date is currently the Here's the current values on this as manually added. Person is currently Suave Pirate.
Tell me about my boards. Basically what I want to try is, like, let's get to the second board,
You have 6
which will be
boards.
this.
Do you want to learn
And then we'll get
more
into these
about
items.
the first one?
Yes.
This board is Suave Stream Sample Board and has 3 groups.
Next. This should be Roadmap 2020.
This board is
Great,
Roadmap
so that
2020
context
and
works.
has 5 groups and 6 items. You can ask about the items in here, or go to the next or previous board.
Tell me about my items. Oh.
This board underscore
Ooh.
name has board underscore item underscore
Oof.
count items. The first one is item underscore
That's how I'm
name.
gonna leave
Do
the
you
status.
want to hear the
Done.
details of this item?
Yes. I wonder what's gonna happen here.
Here's the current values on this as manually added. Person is currently Suave Pirate.
Okay, so something was certainly wrong there. Ah, stop. Oh my god. Oh my god. Alright. So something with getting the next item was not very cash money. Let's start from the ground up, make sure that everything's set up right. So if we go to yes next item, oh, you know what, this is probably still using current item. That's why. There it is. Easy peasy. Let's get next. All right, so now let's try that again. I still want to figure out too. The board get items there just blew up, and that was not very cool. All right, let's do that again. Tell me about my items.
This Roadmap 2020
there you go.
has 6 items. The first one is Hi there. Hand waving. Click
Hand
here to
waving.
learn how to start right arrow. Do you want to hear the details of this item?
Yes.
Here's the current values on Hi there. Hand waving. Click here to learn
All right,
how
let's go to the
start
next
right-
item. Next item should be Create App Store.
Here's the current values on Create App
There
Store.
we go.
Opportunity problem is currently create a space for developers to market their apps. Impact is currently medium.
You messed
Scope
up the
defined.
Benny Squishes.
Is currently yes. Tier is currently
All right, so now
Pro.
we can get to
Enterprise.
develop new
Timeline.
templates, right? If we say yes, go to the next one.
Here's the current values on develop new templates.
Let's do this.
Opportunity.
Previous. That should take us back to Create App Store. Please.
Sounds like you said something
Dang it.
I don't know or support. Try.
Go back. I might have put in the wrong intent
Sounds
name.
like you said something I don't know.
Let's make sure that our intent names are right. Let's see. My Monday. Add appointment to collect Tesla. Yeah. It should be the 16th is when they announce winners. I don't know if we'll find out, like, if we are a winner. I don't know if we'll find out ahead of time, but just a note there. All right. Input.previous. That's the one we put in there, right? If we go to previous item. Oh, we never added previous oh my god. Absolute dingus. We never added it as an option. All right, from here we need to add previous item as an option after. I totally forgot after we added it, right? Boom, add it there. Save. We got to go add it to the next item and to the previous item. And then after that iterating items, like all this will be done. And then we need to just do the search by name, and that'll be fun. And then we'll get back into our sweet Alexa tweet libs. All right, previous also needs a self loop. I love to see just like even like the conversation like flow design of what this looks like. It's just like a whole bunch of like weird internested loops of like state, but like in here it's all nice and clean. I just know that if I want to go to the next one, I can select these 3 ways to say next. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I'm still in the same session, right? Big flex here coming next.
Here's the
Still
current
worked.
values
Now watch
on
this.
board.
Previous. Ooh,
Here's the current
easy,
values on develop
easy.
new template.
Go back. Another one. Middle of the session
Here's
made
the
those
current
updates.
values
Ooh,
on
baby.
Create App Store.
Easy peasy. I love that flex of like, dude, like this would be true even if someone was in the middle of using the live app, like those changes we just made. It says bop, done. Cool. So I mean that feels pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and check these off. Bop. Bippity boppity. Commit this. I still want to check out why the items overview failed. It might have just timed out or something. Work on item iterating. All right, now what we need is search for item. So what we can do, we can create a conversation item here that's like, tell me about item X, right? And maybe we can try that. And then what we need to do is basically extract those values out and do something with them. I'm curious if we should do that now. Because basically what I want to do, right, if we look here, if I said, tell me about the Create App Store item, like give me the status of that, I want to just get right into here. I don't want to have to go into the Roadmap 2020 board and then into this group and then iterate through the items. I want to just tell me what is going on with this one task that I assigned to someone and let me know if they're done or not. It's basically the gist of it. So we need a conversation item. Let's see how we need to design it, but it needs to be open-ended. So we'll say like search for item, extracting values. Try having values, friend. Oof. Tell me about item X, right? We'll leave it there for now. Search for item. What is the status of item? And then we'll say item name has the following values. Item values. And then we can literally add that same, like, do you want to hear about the next one? Because, like, we're in the context of an item now. Like, we can just literally go, tell me about that one. Boom, next one. Want to hear about the next item? Grab those 3 handy dandy node next and previous. Add that sweet, sweet hint, and we'll say yes. So I'm going to leave this disabled for now. Search for item, because we need to actually create a webhook to handle it. So in the response service, basically, we don't need any context before we search for the item. We just need to go get all the items, and then from there just search by name. I guess that's it, right? So let's try that. I'm gonna do. It's basically gonna be from get boards. I'm gonna just copy this because that's like the baseline one. But it does use the items response template, which is super nice. All right, so we're gonna call this search for item. And we're going to get all the boards. That's good. So this is fine. So now at this point, like, we have the boards. We need to extract the name from the request using patterns. And then, oops, we need to search through items for ones where the name contains the extracted value. So basically this is that sort of like what we're calling tertiary NLU, because Alexa and Google do the first one, Voicify does the second one. We need to do just a little bit more to pull out some extra specific variables, and that's what we do in the create item call. So if we take a look at like create item, where we get the boards, we get the current board, and then we actually extract the name of a group and an item out of what was said, and we put that into one method. Then we take what we call them slots in that output model. We take the one for group and the one for item, and that's how we go, okay, let's find the group by the one that's called this, and then we'll create the new item using that name. Right, so we do all this stuff to like find the group by the one that we extract from the name, and then we actually call Monday to add the item, and then we say that we added it. So we actually need to do a very similar thing, except that this structure here, this extract group and item, is just a whole bunch of patterns for ways that the underlying layer of what was said might structure adding an item to a group. We need like a similar thing for extracting an item name out of search. So I'm going to paste it. We're going to say extract item name from search. And the display name here is going to be item search. That's the name of sort of the intent, if you will. And then here's where we name the utterances. And then for each one of these variables, that's how we actually can extract those values. And this is all using, actually, I'll show you how it all works. We'll step through it. But I have this enhanced pattern matching service. And essentially what it does is it processes all of the available utterances and all of the available intents. So in this case, we're only using one intent. So it's really just, we only care about all the utterances to figure out which one's the best match and extract the values. So what it does is it calls this match slots. We clean stuff up. Then we break out that string, that pattern, into multiple parts. So if we look at, let's say like this one, add item to the group. So we would have the parts of add space, the variable item, to the in the variable group. So we'd have 4 parts of the expression, and then we take the actual underlying one and we just start matching it. So we say like if the phrase starts with add, if I say add Hodor to the squad, right? We'll say, okay, does add Hodor to the squad, does it start with add? All right, cool. That first part is matched. That means we can extract the second part because it's going to be between the to and the. So we say, all right, let's get this value. Does the next part, so we do like a look forward, also match before we pull this value out? So add is good. That means the rest of it could in theory be a variable. But let's look forward. We've got more static parts. Does it have to the? It does, which means that we now know that Hodor fits into item. And then because this one ends on the slot, the rest of it is there. So that's how we pull those values out. And we do that process against all of these very quickly. And so that's what all of this is doing. We literally just go by parts. We determine which ones are slots or variables. And then we extract them. We add them to the list of slots. And so the final output is a list of slots that are extracted. And then after we have all of them, we need to determine which one is the best one, which one matched the best. Because I could have a pattern in here that is just add item name. But if I say add Hodor to the group, that would mean that I would be creating an item called Hodor to the group. So like between like something like this, like if this is one of the patterns, when I say add Hodor to the squad, which one of these matches best? And the way that we determine that is what's defined in oops, I didn't mean to do that. The way we determine that is what's defined in this single process, where we say, all right, let's get all the matches. So anything that matched any of the patterns, even if it's all just one variable, then we basically just set up rules. So we iterate through each of the matches and we compare them to each other. So in that case of add an item and add item to the group, we take those two and we just see which one's better by just iterating and comparing them to the best one. So we keep track of which one is the best so far. We say, all right, if there are 0 slots, that means that it was a perfect phrase extraction. So that's the best, and there's nothing else that could be better. It's a perfect match. There's no slots at all. It's literally, you said exactly what this text is. Then we just say, all right, who got more slots out of this? Because if we have just add item and then we have add item to the group, add item to the group is, if we have both of those slots filled, it's way better than add item. We got more specific, so that one wins. But even then, if they have the best one, we then match to see which one has more of the non-slot values in it. Because that means that it matched more directly with the structured phrase, and so that one wins. There's some other stuff that we do at Voicify with this in a little more of an advanced way where you can add types to it. So we can say like, all right, if I have add item to the group and I also have another intent that's add group to the board, I need to, like, how do I know which one's better? They have the same number of slots, they have the same thing, but it's actually two variables that are just different. So the way we determine that is by typing them. Does the name that was actually said match better with a board name or with an item name if we can define those types? And that's how we determine how to win in those scenarios. So, and then we basically put them up against the tournament against each other and then just pick one. So it's pretty cool stuff just with, you know, basic strings and patterns that gets pretty smart. And it can get us really far without having to actually build any machine learning models and worry about training times and stuff, and it can happen on the fly. So, for extracting the search of the names, we need something that actually pulls out the item name. So the first thing we can do is actually just go look at these. So if we get one other key difference here is that Alexa will not give us the full phrase. So we'll have about item X. That'll be one. Because Alexa won't send us the tell me if we say tell me about item X. It'll just send about item X, but Google sends the whole thing. So we need both, basically. That's swap keys. Whoops. So here's what we can do. Instead of X, this will be item. About, oh, doesn't need to be all caps. About item. Tell me about item. We're going to have search for item. We could even just have for item status of item. I need to fix this one. What is the status of item? Tell me the status of item. State of item. We could have what is item status. What is item status? I think we can also do this. This might cause some issues, but we can say item status. I don't know if we can do starting with slots, but we'll find out. Right. That's enough to start with. We can, as we start to use it, again, like all we have to do is just come add some of these expressions. So, back up in our search for search. Where's our item search? Item search? What the heck? Where'd it go? Search for item. Jeez. Alright, so extract the patterns and stuff. So we'll say language output equals extract item name from search. And so what we pass in, oh, we need to get the query slot. Hold on. We're doing that in that create item. It's going to do the same thing. Where's my create item? Oh, right here. Alright, so we need to do that. Get the query, pass in the query, and then we're literally going to do this exact same thing. Boom. We don't need group though. Oh, what isn't this like? Oh, we need to await it. Alright, so we await getting that. We get the slots. If we don't have an item name, you need to provide an item name in order to search. Try something like tell me the status of the new feature. Alright, so at this point we have the item name. So now we need to literally just find the item out of the boards where it contains it. So we can save our item. We say item is null. We'll initialize it with what it actually is. And then we can just loop over them. So we can say board for each. We'll end up being able to clean this up too. But for each board in boards, so we're going to go through each board first. We're going to see if each board has the item, and if not, we get the next one. boards.data, whatever. Our found item is board.items.first or defaults, where the items name or title name dot to lower contains the item name dot to lower. If found item is not null, right, we found our first one, then we set item is found item, and we break. So we get out of the loop. The second we've got item, we're good to go. And then from there, we have an item. So it's just like all these current item stuff. It's just this. Like we just returned this. There. Okay, I think that's all there really is to it. So let's go add this to the interface, and then we'll add the endpoint to it. Okay, in the controller, handle next, handle previous, create. We'll have a search for item. Call it search for item, and we will search for an item. And we're going to YOLO publish it instead of debugging it. And while it's publishing, we go add a webhook. New custom webhook. Over here, coding Blue's Clues. Yeah. Basically. That could have been a fun Alexa Conversations one. Alright, Monday Manager Dev, search for item. Searches for an item by name. Search for item. I think that's what we called it, right? Search for item. I feel like I always forget the second I leave. Search for item. All right. So now that the webhook's there and we're published, let's go to that search for item, and we'll attach the webhook. And then we'll give it a shot. Wake up. Alright, we can probably still do this in the same session. Tell me the status of build Bixby capsule. I gotta do this create app
Here's
store.
some information for
Oh.
whatever happened.
Talk to Monday Manager.
Okay, getting the test version of Monday Manager.
Welcome to Monday
Tell me the status of create app store.
Something went wrong. What else do you want to do?
Something went wrong. She almost sounds like, what's her name from Portal. Alright, we'll debug the dang thing. Here we go. Alright, for those of you who have not been part of our virtual proxy debugging, GLaDOS, yes, thank you. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going to ngrok, so we're going to create an HTTP tunnel. So now we've got this handy dandy public URL we can use that'll point to my public, my private server, which then what we need to do in Voicify is change the webhook to point to that instead of to our public one. So I'm just going to go swap out the base part of the URL. Unexpected problem. What are you talking about? Oh, leading space. There we go. All right. So now in the same session, right, we can try this again. Tell me the status of create app store.
Something went wrong. What else do you want to do?
Huh. What endpoint is it even hitting? Status? We have that in that conversation item, right? Hold on. I'm going to go to the search for item. I thought we had status in here, right? Status of item. Tell me the status of create item. There we go. Now we hit it. Alright, so now we can step through and see what's going on. Got our access token.
Item underscore name has the following values. Item underscore values. Want to hear about the next?
Stop. All right. Get our boards. We're good. We get the query. Ooh, query's null. Wow. Oh, it's giving us dynamic. So we need to check for query or dynamic. Interesting. Very interesting. We should probably do that in the other one too then. Dynamic. If that's that, then we do that. Hold on. Here's what we're gonna do. If that's that, then we try to get dynamic. We'll just reassign it. And if it's still null, then we throw the error. We should do the same thing in the create item too then. Cool. Okay, let's do it again. Proxy still running. Tell me the status of create item. I just want to make sure that Google's muted.
Item underscore.
There we go. Shush. All right, let's step through. Boopity boppity. Give me the query, please. Query's null there, but now we've got a query. Tell me the status of create item. Right. So then we run through that process language. I'll take this actually as a chance to step you through it. Let's give ourselves some room here. So we build that interaction model. So we have tell me the status of blank. Right. So tell me the status of create item. Conceptually, we should match with this one, tell me the status of item. And so therefore, this should say create item. That's what item should be. So we're going to step into here. Dumb games. All right, so we go into process all. What we do is we go over each intent, right? So the ones that we just provided, we only have the one. Then we go through each utterance, and we match the slots. So in this case, we've got tell me the status of create item. And we're seeing if it matches with about item, which it shouldn't. So we go, nope, next one. Tell me the status of create item. Tell me about item. Nope, does not match. This one is search for item. Nope. For item. Nope. Status of. Nope. What is the status of? Nope. Tell me the status of. Oh shoot, that is the one that I wanted to do. Dang it. Alright, well now it has the slots, right? Because slots. Oh wait, is this the right one? Tell me the status of item. Tell me the status of create item. What? That should have matched. Here, let's step out of here. Did we get any? None. Alright, that's actually that's unexpected. Those should have matched. Let's try it again. Tell me the status of create app store. Let's get down
Item
here.
underscore name has the following values.
Alright, step in again. Build our language model. Step in here. We'll just put a breakpoint in here. Actually in here. Alright. Let's get to this point. So the input is tell me the status of create app store. The utterance we're checking out is about items, so that's not going to do it. Tell me about, no. Tell me the status of is the one we want. Search for blank. Status of. What is the status of? Tell me the status of item. And this is tell me the status of create app store. So let's step into this. So here's the cleaner input. Tell me the status of create app store. The utterance is tell me the status of item. We get the parts. So we literally just break up every part of the utterance. So now we've got two parts. Tell me the status of an item. So we get the parts that are not empty. It's still the same too. We initialize a whole bunch of stuff. And now we go through the parts. So the first part, is tell me the status of, and the original part is tell me the status of. Oh, we don't have that. That's fine. Is slot is going to be false. It's not a slot. So now we say, does the remaining string tell me the status of start with tell me the status of? That should be returning true. Tell me the status of. How is that not true? Oh, wait. This should not be if it's not null or empty. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, wait, yeah. If string is not null or empty, tell me this. Like, I don't know how we didn't get into here. That's not null or empty. And remaining string starts with tell me the status of. Tell me the status of. How is that not true? Here, let's do this. Go away, Visual Studio thing. Remaining string dot starts with part. How is that false? How is that false at all? Remaining string part. How is this not? Oh, tell me status of. Fuck, I'm an idiot. Oh my god, how did I not see that? Alright, hold on. Tell me status of. Tell me the status of. Absolute moron. Whoopsie-doo. Alright, let's run it again. In this scenario, I have a feeling it's going to work. Alright, fine, I'll hydrate. If you say so. Tell me the status of create app store.
Item underscore name has the following values. Item underscore values.
Alright,
Want to
I
hear
gotta get rid
about
of
the
all
next
points.
item?
Tell me about the shit. Tell me the status of create app store. Wash your mouth out. Oh no.
Item underscore name has the following values. Item underscore values. Want
Alright.
to hear about the next item?
Stop. Alright. So we actually have process language now. Yay. We have the slot of item is called create app store. So now we need to actually find the item, right? So hopefully we can find one. Found item. What is item? We've got it. It's called create app store. We don't have any column values though. Because we need to get it with the column values. So a couple of things here. If item is null, right? So if we never found it, we should return an error and say I wasn't able to find an item named, and then we'll pass in the one they say, right? So item name. Try something else. But now we need to actually go get the item details. So we should actually add an endpoint here for get item details by ID. So we can do this. We can say get item details, access token, and item ID. Does it work that way, or do we have to do it within the board? Let's find out. Oh no, we don't. We can do this, right? And we'll comment out this one. This should work. Right. So we get a list of items. Get data list of items. So we need a new object here instead of board's response. I'm gonna have an items response. Items. Items. Exciting stuff. And then on our data provider, this is going to be an item array. This is going to be an item response. Items response. Items. Item. Okay, now we need to actually use this query though. And then we gotta, do the whole everything's a variable. Except this is item ID, and all of these get doubled. Double, 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 double. Double, double, double. And double, double. There we go. And then we indent. Boom. Alright. Got get item details. That's there now. So now in the response service, when we're down here, if item's null, we throw stuff. We'll say var current item then is await dot get item details. This is request dot original request dot access token, and then this is going to be item dot ID. And we should also do this. And then instead of using item down here, we use current item. Alright. That feels better. Spin it. Damn it. Wait, what? Oh, this is... Ah, shoot. Response. Response. Current item is current item response data first or default. There we go. Now spin it. Okay. Hippity hoppity over to here. Tell me the status of Create App Store.
Create App Store has the following values. Opportunity problem is currently create a space for developers to market their apps. Impact is currently medium. Scope defined.
Tell me the status of Rethink Inbox notifications.
Rethink Inbox notifications has the following values. Opportunity problem.
Let me go back. Ready? Watch this.
B. Notifications. What's better for the user?
Look at that.
Impact
now watch.
is currently high. Scope defined.
Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. I'm gonna say previous.
Who do you want to call?
What? Stop. Oh, it kicked me out, I think. Previous? No, stop. Oh, God. Oh, God. Cancel. Previous?
Sounds like you said something I don't know or support.
I don't know what happened there. It, like, got all weird. Okay. Let's try that again. Ask Monday Manager to tell me the status of develop new templates.
Okay, here's the
Let's
test
see,
version of Monday
see.
Manager.
Develop new templates has the following values. Opportunity problem is...
Then we go next item, and we'll get down here.
Here's the current values on this as manually added.
Oh, what?
Person is currently swapped.
Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to set the board. Because we don't have the current board here when we sort of one-shot into it. Let's do this. Board, current board. And then when we find it, we'll also say current board is board. And then down here, we can set current board to current board. What a thought. And I guess we should also set boards to boards. Boards on boards. board is a... Alright, that feels good. I'm going to publish that. We can then swap that URL back out. Stop doing that. So if we go to ngrok, where do we got the ngrok? Search for item. We can now switch it back to this. And we should be good. Now anyone can do it. Hey Google. Hey Google. Hey Google. Ask Monday Manager to tell me the status of Create App Store.
Okay, let's get the test version of Monday Manager.
Create App Store has the following values.
Now if I say next, we should get the next one within that board. There
Here's
we go.
The current values on develop new templates.
There we go. Easy peasy. All right, I'm going to commit it. And that's all of these. We'll do the items assigned to me. I think some other time. I want to get back to the Alexa conversation stuff. And then take a look at some of the other features. But yeah, I mean, like, we've already submitted the post. Actually, James, I don't know if did you see the... I'll play the video again because I think it's worth watching for those who were not here before, especially James, because it's so funny. But let me commit this stuff before I forget. Do search for item. Push it. Push it. What? Failed to push. Oh. Oh, because I have new README stuff. Now push it. Okay, James, I hope you're watching. We're gonna play the video again. So I've submitted to the Monday Hackathon. We sent our submission in. It still thinks I have one draft one because I kind of messed it up, but whatever. So we're gonna go to my portfolio, and we're gonna play our intro video to the Monday Manager. Hi, I'm Alex Dunn. I'm a software architect with a big passion for rescue dogs, music, and more importantly, building software that's actually accessible to everyone and everywhere that they might be. I've been a Monday user, a Monday.com user for a few years now, actually. I use it for my team with all of our roadmap planning and productivity tooling. And I really wanted to take this opportunity to finally bridge the gap between what I do in conversational AI and my Monday.com productivity tools and make that available for everyone. Make it accessible to those who might not have as easy of a time using Monday.com or the mobile app. So with that, I built what I call the Monday Manager. And essentially, it's a virtual assistant that helps you actually manage all of your tasks, your boards, and everything like that using just your voice. And right now it's available on Google Assistant and Alexa to any Monday.com user. You link your account from your Google account and Monday account or your Amazon Alexa account in your Monday account, and you can actually start doing things like asking you about your board information, creating new items, getting details, making adjustments and stuff like that in a very conversational way. You don't just have to take my word for it. Take the word of my alter egos and all of these sort of different use cases.
Hey Google, can you tell Monday Manager to push my stuff back by a day?
Okay, I'll update 8 of your current item states by 1 day. What else can I help with?
Alexa, ask Monday Manager to tell me what's on my list for today.
You have a few items that are coming up on their due date, including finish the Monday Alexa skill, deploy new version to prod, and code review for V2. What else do you want to do?
Hey Google, tell Monday Manager to add an item to experiments called Build Bixby Capsule.
Okay, let's get the test version of Monday Manager.
Added to experiments. What else do you want to do?
Bill, that's a great idea. Let me get that on our backlog real quick. Alexa, tell Monday Manager to add a new item to backlog called Bill's Great Idea.
This is my favorite one.
Add it to backlog. What else do you want to do?
All right, everyone, you take care. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye. Alexa, can you delete that last item?
Just to confirm, you want me to delete the last item you added?
Yes.
Alright, I'll delete it.
Now, those scenarios are great, and honestly, they've been super useful for me, but that's not a situation that everyone's going to find themselves in. And I think more importantly, though, it becomes a tool for people who are visually or physically impaired to still be productive using Monday.com and stay interactive with their team in that sense. You know, they might have a challenge using a screen reader to actually traverse the page on the web app or the mobile app, but they don't have to do that anymore. Instead, they can just talk to their virtual assistant, Alexa, Google, or anywhere else we want to put this, and they're off and running. And the future for this project is essentially that we're going to be building more features like that. We have the ability to see what people are saying that it doesn't do yet, so see what they might want. Then we can just go build it. And then we can also put it in more channels, put it in Bixby, put it in certain chatbots like Microsoft Teams or Slack, maybe just embedded web chat directly in Monday. And then really start to personalize that experience for the individual user, to start to understand their preferences, what they tend to do more often, to cut down on the steps they have to take even more. And last but not least, the whole thing was built live on Twitch. So if you care to check out more or any of the deeper dives into how everything works or how I built it, be sure to come check that out. It's all up on GitHub as well to explore the source, deploy your own, make your own changes, and add new features yourself as well. Excited to see where this goes. It's already available in production on Alexa and Google Assistant. You can go use it now as a Monday user. You don't have to wait. So thanks for listening. Thanks for checking it out, maybe trying it out, and I'll see you in the next hackathon. This is the thumbnail that YouTube chose for me. So clickbaity, I love it. Okay. Yeah, so that's part of our submission. The rest of it is all like the description of what it does, how it works, and all that. Yeah, I'm so happy that I came up with the idea of like being in a fake meeting with a client. I literally set up a Teams meeting. And actually added an item to the backlog called Bill's Great Idea. Watch, you can watch me do that live again. Alexa, tell Monday Manager to add an item to the backlog called Bill's Great Idea.
I couldn't find any group for backlog called Bill's Great Idea. Try adding to a different group. What else do you want to do?
Add an item to the backlog called Bill's Great Idea.
I couldn't find any group for backlog called Bill's Great Idea. Try adding to a different group. What else do you want to do?
Add an item to backlog called Bill's Great Idea.
I couldn't find any group for backlog called Bill's Great Idea. Try adding to a different group. What else do you want to do?
Did we break something? Exit. Did we just break something? What did we change? It was like I couldn't find a group. What is it trying to do? I'll add a group name. How is that the group name that's extracted? Did we change anything in here? No, we literally just changed the spacing. What did I do wrong there? Hold on, let me try from Google. Google just works so much better. Add an item to backlog called Bill's Great Idea.
Here are the top search results.
It's not in action. Talk to Monday Manager.
Got it. Here's the test version of Monday Manager.
Welcome to Monday.
Add an item to backlog called Bill's Great Idea.
Added to backlog. What else do you want to do?
Add an item to experiments called Hello Chat. Boop.
Added to
There you go.
experiments. What else?
See how easy that is? It's amazing. Eventually we'll get into like the status setting and stuff too, but it's gonna take a little bit to get there. But yeah, I mean, well, first of all, we did this. The what's assigned to me one is gonna be the last challenging thing, but we'll probably do that on Wednesday or something. Cool. All that is committed. We are good. So I am gonna go grab some coffee, and then we'll go talk about our Alexa conversation stuff with which is Tweetlibs, and we'll get that working and add some more Mad Libs and maybe submit to another hackathon, but that's not due until the 14th or something. Oh, if you want a link to the actual project, hold on. Here, take this. You can actually just check out the project listing yourself. Toss it a like, get me a chance to win the Tesla. So, what was I going to say? Right, the other hackathons that we're doing. The Alexa Conversations one is due on the 14th. So we got some time to fix some stuff, get it submitted, add some more features, and then we still got to do the same like write-up and video and stuff like that too for this. But I want it to be a little more feature complete first. So we're going to go take a look at what we need to fix to get it to work, to get it approved, and then we'll add some more templates to it, and then that'll probably be a good spot. And then I just signed myself up for this one's due a little bit earlier, but the Wit AI one, because I think we can use Wit AI for what we're doing.